Okay, so hello everybody, my name is Kyle Foch. I am a fourth year MLA student as well. And I'm going to talk to you today about my project titled Doodle. Doodle is a post-industrial redevelopment of a Google corporate campus. And it's located in Sunnyvale, California. So mine's a bit less focused on research and more design. The site is located just south of the San Francisco Bay and is in a district called Moffett Park, which is composed of large warehouses. It's a light industrial area, so it has large warehouses and vast amounts of parking spaces as well. This is just a figure ground of the area. In the south, you can see the residential lots and sort of the vast structures within the Moffett Park district as well. I don't know if you can see it, but that white blob in the center is my site. So the circulation for this area, it was a key element to consider in the design. It was classified as a transit-oriented development currently, and it's in the north and just west of the site are two primary transit hubs which accommodate light rail transit and citywide bus routes. Just south of the site also is Highway 237, which allows connection to the broader community and adjacent communities as well. Just along the shoreline up in the north is a large expanse of open space. To the east is the Baylands Park, which is a current conservation land for grasslands and wetlands as well. And in the north, west and southwest, up in the top left corner and bottom left, are two vast golf courses for open space as well. All of this green space is pretty key in developing my site because of the focus I have on open space. And making a connection to these spaces was really important in my design. Just to the east of the site and surrounding southwards is a water channel for the Moffett Park district. And using that, I was able to connect the ecological areas and the open spaces through the district. The centrality of my site also provides an opportunity to have a central green hub for the Moffett Park district as a whole, for the community to gather and for employees as well on the site. The hydrology of the area is also pretty important for the design. My site is located just outside the 100-year floodplain. It's a bit hard to see, but this sort of gray, grainy area is the 100-year floodplain. And because of its proximity to this floodplain, it acts as a mitigative measure to basically reduce hydrologic disasters. And its adjacency to the water channel also provides an opportunity to naturalize hydrologic systems within the area that have been completely destroyed because of its industrialized nature. So in my design, I had to consider a lot of zoning recommendations, particularly associated with special development permits, which would have to be acquired to allow for mixed use on the site, and also zoning variances through conversion of industrial to residential within the area. The ecology of the site also I look to incorporate. Sorry for the scrolling, it's a bit hard to see. I used to having the panels. So I want to incorporate grasslands, wetlands, woodlots, and urban agricultural facilities within the design. One of the key things that I looked at was how to efficiently and cost effectively incorporate this into the design to sort of incentivize Google to actually undertake it the way it was intended and to implement the design effectively and keep the design intent. So as you can see from the master plan, which doesn't fit on the screen, you can look at it later on my panels. There's a large amount of open space. My vision essentially was to develop a connected embryonic community that will catalyze biophilic expansion and will encourage flexibility and productivity while enhancing the welfare of humans and nature on the site. So with that being said, I have essentially numerous different facilities to try to accommodate that. On the west side, those three towers listed as W1, 2, and 3 are the existing office buildings that are currently being leased by Google. Just adjacent to this, which is supposed to be integrated into those towers, is the central green, which is essentially all this yellow space, the green space, and the stormwater management pond in the center. And it goes a bit northwards as well. And this accommodates large open spaces, ecological habitat through grasslands and wetlands, and also recreational facilities, such as small sports courts, volleyball courts and things like that, and field games. And this is essentially supposed to be also host a large trail system which can accommodate walking, bicycling, as well as emergency and service vehicles for these structures, which is a key element to this development. Along the boulevard is a mix of dining and retail, which is host to cafes and also a daycare. And these are supposed to accommodate for the employees on the site, as well as individuals that would be visiting the site. To the south and to the east are where the site actually hits this water channel, which I was talking about earlier. In the south is a conversion into, I called it the Moffat Farms, which is essentially an urban agricultural facility that integrates permacultural practices into polycultures, aquaculture, entomophagy. I don't know if that's actually how it's pronounced, but essentially the cultivation of insects for food, and then also apiary practices. In the east up here is essentially a naturalized wetland which hosts interactive boardwalks and trail systems, and that's essentially supposed to naturalize this system and help clean out the water and provide some habitat. Adjacent to this is the primary Eastern Towers development, which is host to 4 large mixed-use towers that contains retail, office space, and residential in the upper stories. The primary one of these towers is the Google headquarters. This lot actually has been acquired by Google currently, and was recommended to become the headquarters and also host mixed use with a gated courtyard in the center for the employees and the residents. And just north of this is the Google Square, which is the primary hub for the whole development. So I just have a brief pro forma, but I'm not going to go through the numbers with you. So there's some key design features that I looked at that are supposed to be repeated throughout the site. The primary one, which is located throughout lots of the green space, is something I like to call the nest. It's essentially a core 10 structure, a semicircular core 10 structure over something I call a philosopher's circle, which is essentially a gathering area for individuals to just meet, have business meetings, or just eat lunch. And it has either a fire pit or a table in the center to accommodate these activities. There's something I call the beacon, which is essentially a generalized signage that could be repeated throughout the site. And then at the bottom is the hive, which is a core 10 art structure, which is also repeatable throughout the site and is to be placed among mass plantings. It actually has an integrated insect hotel, which is supposed to go along with this entomophagy cultivation, and also provide habitat for these insects on the site, and also other small mammals. So the two that I actually skipped, the snag and the perch, are actually integrated into the Google Square. So the snag is over here at the end of an axial water channel, and this is supposed to act as a focal point for the whole square. It's a core 10 tree sculpture, which integrates this insect hotel idea into it as well, and is essentially the visual center point for the whole square. The perch, which is a winged type structure, is attached to the adjacent building facades, and it's actually supposed to act as a passive solar protector for the buildings and for people within the square. It has essentially a green roof structure on top, and a water feature to help with precipitation on the site to help cool individuals in the California climate. The large Google lettering was actually something sort of playful I integrated into the design. It acts as a bridge over the axial water channel, and then also has integrated seating in it as well within the central area. And I thought it interesting that it sort of incorporates their Google Maps and Google Earth mediums of technology, where you can actually go onto Google Earth and see this site and know that it's a Google corporate campus. So that's essentially my primary hub for this whole development as well. I have some visuals down here which you can take a look at after on my panels as well. To the left is the Google Plaza, which I was just talking about, sort of a visual. You can see in the background the perch structures with the waterfalls, the gated courtyard, which is integrated into the headquarters. And this is essentially just a visual of the eastern development as from an aerial view. So if you have any more questions about my design, you can ask me, and hopefully I can answer that for you. So thank you for listening.